G'day guys, it is Ben here from Hunt the Night. Now, what we're going to do today is talk a little bit more about clip-ons, and specifically we're going to get into a little bit of the differences between the HIKMICRO and the InfiRay clip-ons. We're going to talk a little bit more about clip-ons in general. We sell a fair few clip-ons. We sell a lot of the HIKMICROs in a clip-on. It's really versatile, the fact that it can be a scope or a clip-on or a monocular. And I still get people calling me up saying, hey, you know, what's the key differences between these two? Which we're going to get into in a minute. But I just want to talk about clip-ons in general because, you know, I used to be of the opinions that clip-ons were a bit substandard and that you should always have a dedicated scope if you're going to use thermal. And then I started using them a lot. And, my opinion has changed dramatically. The reason I say that is because clip-on technology has also changed. We have these fantastic, Rusin adapters these days, which we use for both the InfiRay and the HIKMICRO systems, which guarantee you, a real return to zero. And I'll put a link in the description to a video Rusin have just done, which they're demonstrating that, the repeatability of these by taking it on and off the actual rifle. So let's get rid of that. Okay, they're repeatable, fantastic. Another big change that makes these so good these days is that the OLED screens in the back of these are really bright and really, really lovely to look at. So when you're actually, and they're really high definition compared to what they used to be too. So when you've got your day scope attaching to the back and zooming in on that little computer screen on the back, you actually get a really, really good picture. There's also downsides. The downsides is, yes, these ones here work best on to about 4 to 6 type base magnification on a smaller game. Now you can stretch it out to about 10 to 12 at very most on bigger game, but that's kind of the limit of most digital scopes anyway. I don't think that a scope that starts in 2 power should really zoom up to 16 power, because by the time you get to 16 power, it looks horrible. By the time it gets to 8 power, it looks pretty good, but when you go from 8 to 16, things tend to not real good, especially in the 17 micron type scopes. You don't experience it as badly in the 12 microns, but certainly in the 17s you do. So, image quality on these is absolutely fantastic. And they have those same kind of limitations. I do prefer to start with lower type base magnifications. I use these on my Leopold 3 to 9, and they work well throughout that whole kind of range. Yes, you're going to get a little bit of pixelation when you get into those top end ranges, but you do anyway when you start zooming in. And that's an important consideration to remember. All right, so let's talk about specific differences between these two scopes, because there's pros and cons to each of them. One isn't better than the other, they're just kind of different. These are both 384, and it doesn't matter if we're talking about the CL42 or the CH50V1, this information's the same. The V2 is different, and go back and watch my what's the difference between the CH50V1 and the CH50V2, the InfiRay clip-on. I'm not going to recover that, but this is, for what we're doing today, whether it's the V1 CH50 or the CL42, it's the same. Right, so with the InfiRay device, this can store 3 different profiles. The HIKMICRO only stores the one. So that's the key one already. If you've got 3 different rifles and different adapters and you want to swap it between 3 different guns, you can do that easier than with the HIKMICRO. With the HIKMICROs, I've said before, I put a bit of tape on the adapter and I put the X and Y coordinates on it so I can change it, but it's a bit more mucking around. This one comes with onboard video recording and Wi-Fi streaming, where this one doesn't. So if you want to record and if that's important to you, this is, a really good option. The thing I love about this device too is you've still got access to all the buttons. So you can record here, you can change your color palettes, and you can refresh manually if you want. But you've got to reach around the front of the device to be able to do it. And that can be a fair reach. With the InfiRay device, it may not have as much of that functionality on the menu system or on the button system, but it comes with this handy remote. This is a remote that's Velcro backed here, and you can mount that to your stock somewhere and have easy functionality to get into the menu, to get into turn it on or off, or to to manually refresh it. If you want to change the color palettes, you're still going into the menu to do it, but you can do it from this remote. You don't have to reach in front and so on. They're the real key differences between these two. They both use CR123 batteries. Runtime is about the same on them both. They both can be monoculars. This one comes also with a mount to turn it into a dedicated rifle scope, if you want it as a rifle scope, where this one is just a monocular or just a clip-on. Apart from that, these two do the job really, really well. I'm not afraid to say that clip-ons are an excellent alternative to dedicated scopes. There are people out there that will use a clip-on who are absolute precision shooters, more so than they will use a dedicated scope, because they're reticle shooters, and they're shooting, very precise mil dot reticles. So there it is, guys. That's the kind of two differences. Oh, sorry, not the two. There's multiple differences, but that's kind of differences between these two devices, and a little bit more of a discussion about clip-ons in general. Take what you will. I am more than happy to back these and say, guys, you're going to have a great experience if you use them as a clip-on. Talk to you soon, guys.